approach runway 26 left. Now vector to the paddock button and use landing runways runway 26 left for large aircraft and runway 26 right for light aircraft.
Hey, we're back.
Welcome back, you two.
Oh, it's been awesome. Who's this guy?
Hey, it's our stray cat,
Well,
Justin.
we mentioned him on the last show, so thought it would only be fitting to have Justin Jarvis here with us.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate
Yeah.
it. Thanks for the invite.
And we've just traveled overseas together, so even more of a reason to
Yeah.
have you in the studio yet, Just.
Yeah, just not Ryan, though. Just us.
Yeah, no, yeah, you guys left me high and dry here, and it was
How was that, bro?
busy. It was
Yeah, I think you were getting into quite a few roles this side, and you were picking up a lot of what I had to do, Bryan had to do, and so.
Yeah, no, look, I took multitasking to the next level while you guys were away, but it was fun. It wasn't uneventful to say the least, but back to normal now that everyone is where they should be. So
Yeah. Well, we'll chat about our France trip a little bit later on, but there's been quite a lot of news. So what's been happening while we've been gone?
Well, for starters, let's keep it local. Good news for South Africa. We've been taken off the red list in the UK.
That's huge.
Yeah, massive news for the tourism, hospitality, travel industry. I know the charter companies are up in arms about it because it's finally going to hopefully lead to the flood of tourism putting into SA, which is cool.
Can't happen soon enough.
No.
And hopefully this will have a big knock-on effect with other countries as well.
Yeah.
Little restrictions that are in place at the moment. Hopefully it falls away. I mean, it was so nice to be in an environment in France where it actually appears that the pandemic is done. You walk around outside, there's no masks on and that. I don't even want to get into it too much now because I think we can have a nice conversation about that later. But yeah, I suppose everything today will be about the travel side of things. I saw some nice news there. Flying the flag, FlySafair voted Africa's best low-cost airline.
Yeah, well-deserved accolade for them. I couldn't disagree with that.
No.
Not at all. Airlink are
The most
pulling
on
off-
time, I think.
Yeah, most on time, but they're getting into quite a few good deals. They're definitely on the move. I see they've just signed a deal now with Discovery. So from next year, you'll be able to purchase tickets with Airlink using your Vitality points.
Brilliant.
That's good.
Yeah, it's good to see things happening in SA.
Yeah, that's awesome. SAA very much in the news. I see there's... did those strikes happen? And I mean...
Listen, we didn't even need a crystal ball for that. You
Yeah.
could see it happening. I mean, it
Yeah.
hasn't taken them not even a month since they kicked off again. And, the headlines around that SAA debacle are just... Well, there's been quite a lot happening this week.
SAA staff to picket outside offices. Obviously, that's due to salaries and whatnot. There's a hell of a lot of managers there, I see.
250 managers for a staff complement of 750.
250 managers.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
crazy.
Because, I mean, the staff are already up in arms about the fact that the managers have given themselves increases
Yeah.
and the rest of the staff have taken salary cuts.
And I saw people commenting that some of the people that have come back were the ones that took voluntary severance packages. So you had
Exactly.
voluntary severance packages awarded, but then you get your job back.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway, not the end of that. Speaking of SAA, we got to do some UPRT
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
on the 320 sim, which was quite a jewel. That alpha floor system works brilliantly.
Yeah.
Lucky for
I'm
the
actually-
residents of Kempton Park.
I'm actually new to the whole UPRT and everything, and to actually get into an A320 simulator in France with full UPRT capabilities, and
Awesome,
actually try that out. It was actually quite an eye-opener. Definitely a learning curve.
Bryan sent me a video clip of you two
Yeah.
flying that Airbus around. Looked like you were handling
No,
that
it
thing
was
like
brilliant.
a boss, man.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
brilliant.
Huh?
It was very a totally new type of flying compared to obviously I'm used to. So
Yeah.
it was an honor to obviously be there next to Bryan and just be involved in the whole thing, and also see the UPRT capabilities. Brilliant,
Yeah.
brilliant, next level.
Yeah, for those of you that don't know, it's a software now that the you actually input into the simulator. It's not cheap by any stretch of the imagination, but it actually, I was quite suitably impressed by what it can do. It puts you in the sort of the different situations, but very slowly at first, so you can actually see. Remember when you had to put your head down and the instructor would do all sorts of unusual attitudes, and then you look up, and now you have to
recover from that.
Yeah.
So a little bit different, where this actually takes you through what is happening and then holds you in that position, so that your mind is sort of, you can aware of what's happening, and then you recover. But in the recovery as well, it also checks certain things. Did you stay inside the envelope? Did you go outside the envelope? How much stress did you put on the aircraft and all that sort of stuff? So a hell of a lot of information, and it was nice to see it in action.
And it puts you through some pretty tricky scenarios with that UPRT, but you dealt with it well, so it was brilliant.
Yeah, some of them are quite complex, but obviously a nice experience there and also to be at our Simero premises in France, go see all our friends and colleagues there was a really nice, successful trip, and nice to take you along. Just was really
thanks,
cool.
But I appreciate it. Yeah, thank you.
In the international news this week, are we done with South Africa?
Yeah, that's about it. There wasn't too much. Oh, yeah. Power interruptions, Eskom, usual nonsense.
I mean aviation news, bro.
Load shedding.
Yeah, well, it did affect aviation because it's getting
aviation
to the point where even the airports are getting load shed. But anyway, that's irrelevant.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the good stuff.
Yeah, all right. Let's just go into what's happening worldwide. Lufthansa is going to repay the 1.7 billion they received in government aid. So they're actually giving that money back.
Yeah.
Quite remarkable. Qantas performed the longest commercial flight ever. Is that right?
Yep.
The other day. That was a repatriation flight. And, there's a little bit news out of Australia and New Zealand. There was someone posted something about this New Zealand quarantine system where if you want to be repatriated, you have to go on an online system, and then you wait your turn in the queue. Up to I don't know how many thousands and thousands of people. And then it basically says, listen, if you don't get on today, then log in again tomorrow, type of deal. So they still seem to be very separate from the rest of the world. I mean, Australia's going to be open, but not to inbound tourists, you know. So you can leave, but there's not going to be anyone going in there. Obviously a big thing because a lot of South African families have got, friends and relatives there that want to go and see. So, not the best news, particularly when, as we'll talk later, about what we noticed in Europe and France. I mean, it just appears that this whole pandemic is done. But the big news for me, Ryan, is what we saw with Southwest last weekend.
Yeah.
It's a hell of a story. I picked up the information in the air current, and I don't know if you heard too much about it, but just to explain how bad things were there this past weekend. So any Southwest flight number above 8501 is a non-revenue flight.
Yep.
So that's classic repositioning, flying empty. After 10 years, you and me at SACS, we know all about flying empty airplanes. So Southwest, by the end of Sunday, had reached flight number 8538, and on Monday, 8534. So that's 72 empty flights as they tried to get their operation going again. It started last Friday with ATC staffing issues in Jacksonville and bad weather. And then on Saturday and Sunday, Southwest had 1,846 cancelled flights.
It's big numbers, eh?
Big numbers.
Something in the region of 2 million odd passengers affected in total.
Yeah.
I think it was the number that I read there on that. I mean,
that's high, eh?
No, it's heavy.
Quite remarkable. Social media hinted that this was a workers' revolt against vaccine mandates. It was not the case, though. It's rather what they call now a mid-pandemic state of airlines worldwide, and the very fragile state the airline environment is in. So even at Southwest, the employee numbers, they're down 7%. So 7% in a big company like that's a massive amount of employees.
Numbers.
Massive. Now, where the story gets interesting is interesting or scary, depending on what side of the fence you're on. But, you know, the operational problems obviously getting worse and worse all the time. The pilots got an email from the Southwest Airlines Pilots Association. And the email read, "Make no mistake about it, due to months of staffing issues and inefficient scheduling practices, we have been operating at higher than normal operational risk. Every month we hit a new record for fatigue pulls, which are now triple the historical norms. Just yesterday we had 37 fatigue pulls in one day." So a fatigue pull is when a pilot says they are simply unable to fly because they are too tired to operate the aircraft safely. The union said that there have been 240 through October so far, 365 in September, and 633 fatigue pulls in August. That's extra sectors, reduced rest, flying on off days, all those things that kind of used to make our blood boil a bit. You know, just to go back, 2020, 620 of their pilots took those severance package, and a whole lot of them were instructors, simulator instructors. So they've battled to get their their crews trained up again.
Yep.
And now they find themselves in this. But how are those numbers?
It's ridiculous. The cool thing is that this sort of, what I take away from it is it's come about a lot faster than we anticipated. It's indicating that there is definitely a shortage of pilots or airline crew staff in general.
Yeah.
And we've for a while now expected that this might take us into 2023, 2024, but it's
Yeah.
happening sooner than anticipated, which is great.
Yeah.
I mean, other United States airlines like United are actually now offering their crew $1,000 bonus payment, for the extra hard work and everything. So, even going as far as to offering pilots who want to come on board sign-up bonuses, big amounts, $20,000 and everything. So the recovery is happening.
So we're saying that this is really good news for
The
pilots,
industry.
The industry.
Pilots.
Pilots looking for jobs. But is
Exactly.
it now, is this also an indication so pilots that have jobs at the moment, are they all finding themselves in situations like this? Because this isn't a very nice environment. I don't know how many, I've never had to call in sick because of fatigue. Not that we flew that hard, but it can't be very nice. And it's built up over a period. So
I don't know. Depends on which lens you want to look at it through,
I think
man.
for something like me, up and coming pilot, I think this is good news. You know what I mean? There's
Yeah.
opportunity out there and there's work, whereas a year or two ago there wasn't. So, I think for myself particularly, I think it's a good opportunity.
Yeah, looking further down the road, it is.
Yeah.
It paints a more optimistic sort of picture for what's coming.
Yeah.
For the guys at the moment that are in the hot seats, it's not that great because you are working twice as hard, if not 3 times as hard, for less money than you were making 2-3 years ago.
Possibly,
So it's
yeah.
not cool, but I mean, at least I think a lot of guys that are still flying right now are still grateful to have those positions. So I don't know.
Yeah.
yeah, no, it's a catch-22. I think the element of it's not that these guys are employed; they can run their actual schedule, but they can't get them trained up fast enough is what's hurting them. And obviously they don't operate on a hub and spoke system. So hub and spoke, reduces a lot of that load. But with the type of flights they do, you add in some ATC issues, a bit of weather, and tired crew, then you end up with thousands of cancelled flights. So quite remarkable. Yeah. Should we get into our trip, Just?
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are interested in the travel element at the moment.
Yeah, well, I'm certainly keen to hear your stories because you guys have been somewhat tight-lipped about it, obviously saving the juicy parts for the podcast. I want to know, what was it like?
Well,
how was the traveling?
Justin arranged a lot of the stuff before we left. That's sorting out tickets and stuff like that. And there's definitely more involved now to actually get yourself on the airplane. I phoned him just before we were due to leave to say, how many hours before do I need that PCR test? And he was like, I think it's 72, but let me just check. And there's a lot of that sort of stuff going around because, just to be clear, we still needed a negative PCR test. 72 hours from when you land.
72 hours before you land, yeah.
Yeah, so obviously they check that at customs.
And they are pretty strict on that. So, I mean, if you overshoot it by a bit or undershoot it,
Yeah,
it's the difference between
it's
you actually
not-
being allowed in or not.
Really,
Yeah,
yeah.
2 minutes over, it's actually not valid.
100%. So
Serious.
you really have to time it right, and you have to be obviously make sure you're going to get it within that exact time that you're going to leave. So I mean, I think the whole COVID thing is actually added in. I mean, obviously,
It's a huge
undoubtedly
element.
added in applying for visas. It's added in a whole other element into the thing, which
a
makes
more
makes
stressful element.
it does. Unfortunately, it does add a
ups
lot
the
more stress to it,
anxiety.
Yeah.
yeah.
But
And-
now just confirm, sorry, 72 hours from the time that you are
When you-
planned to land,
when you land.
at your destination.
Yeah.
100%.
Now, we had a nice direct flight.
Yeah, what?
But if you've got a roundabout, maybe a 7-hour, 8-hour layover in Doha, then you got to plan your.
I wouldn't even know how you would go about planning. It's actually a very interesting question. Something I didn't actually think about.
No,
And,
another question.
you
I
know?
mean, what about... So you've pushed it to the limits now. What happens if there's an 8 or 9 hour, 10 hour technical delay? What do you do?
I don't know. I think the only option then, and this wasn't given as an option, but if we arrived in France, I'd like to think that they probably would have, without a PCR test, that I'd like to think they could have sent us to their testing station there or whatever. Go get a rapid test, wait there until it's done. Can't be that antigen test. It's got to be a PCR. But they had an option of a
I think that's
quick
what
result,
was
eh?
the difference between, I don't know if that would have worked purely based on the fact that they wouldn't have accepted an antigen test. It had to
Yeah.
be the PCR, which is going to take a day. Well, I suppose it depends where you are. In France, I did mine before leaving. I got it within probably a couple of hours.
yeah,
Quick.
Really?
it came very
Yeah,
quick.
Very, very quick.
Yeah. So that's a big element. Then, obviously, we've had the vaccine, and to get into restaurants in France, you've got to show your vaccine passport.
Yeah.
So we run around. Of course, South Africa doesn't have a approved passport yet, and so we go and get, what was it, health passport
Health
worldwide.
passport, yeah.
Yeah. So we get
That
this
app on your
thing.
phone.
Tell us to get this thing, which is absolutely bloody useless because they don't recognize it there anyway.
Yeah.
The QR code that it's got there is not linked to their system there in France.
I think a
So-
certain amount of that was showing face because for me, particularly, and I think with Simone and yourself, I stand corrected, I didn't get asked for it once. So any restaurants I went to, I didn't get
Yeah.
asked for the health passport, that QR code.
Really?
So it's such a mission to be able to get it and acquire it. But I know I applied on the actual French website. That took me probably, they say it takes 5 weeks. It probably took me about close bet on 2 months or so for that to be authorized, that health pass. And I didn't get asked for it once.
Yo, I got asked for it.
Yeah.
Twice they checked it, but
Yeah.
I showed that health passport worldwide, and the guy just sort of looked at it and said, "Well,
Yeah.
Yeah.
whatever."
It's okay.
We were going drinking anyway.
Yeah, listen, at the price of beers there,
Yeah.
what's it, 12 euros a beer?
Yeah, it gets a bit steep.
Yeah, and then there's no ways they're not going to let you come into not sell a beer.
Yeah.
But there's other elements to it. So we get all the stuff. We now still in South Africa, and then they've got. So obviously you got all these extra forms. So you need an exit form out of South Africa. You fill in that yourself. But they set up a sort of a new. Just before you go through the X-ray machines, you got to go to this other counter, hand in this form. So it's like an extra layer. Get the stuff out your bag, hand this thing in, and then off you go. Similar to those ones we were filling in for Ebola at that one stage, remember?
Yeah.
That stupid bloody thing,
Jeez.
which goes file 13
Yeah.
anyway. But so you do that, and then, obviously there's a bit less staff at the airport, so you queue like hell at the immigration counters. And then once you're through there, then things are relatively normal.
Business lounges, shops, all that.
So there's a couple of lounges open. A lot of shops have closed. But it definitely wasn't as derelict as a lot of pictures I've seen in the past. There seemed to be a bit of life, and it almost seemed like, hey, we're getting back on track here. Things are going to be back to normal. So there was a nice sort of vibe there. It was awesome to see that, hey, we still here. Obviously, a lot less aircraft sitting on the apron, a lot less aircraft taking off. Nevertheless, there was still this sort of nice feeling there.
Still one international terminal open though. I think the other one was still
they've
closed.
closed
I saw it was still taped up on the doors and everything like that.
No.
So
They're trying to use the
yeah.
sort of the alpha gates right at the end, you know.
Where the
where
SAA
the
ones
heavies,
used to be. Yeah. Okay.
And then speaking of that exit form, I don't know if you saw the table that exit form went on. The person who grabs it and it just gets
That's what I say. It's just gone.
Stock standard.
So,
It's always been.
like they say, file 13.
Yeah,
It's like a gen deck.
yeah,
Yeah, you need.
yeah. I never did that. But yeah, so there's a few little sort of silly things there, I suppose. But all in all, in Johannesburg, I was relatively impressed. On the aircraft itself, I mean, Air France, I enjoy flying on Air France. It's nice. Wearing a mask the whole flight is not everyone's cup of tea. The hostie had to wake Justin up the one night because he fell asleep with his mask off.
Which
It was a mistake.
you were that guy.
Yeah.
I was that guy. Disturbed my sleep.
Bearing in mind every single person on the plane has had a vaccine and a PCR
Yeah.
test. That's about as safe
Yeah.
as
you're
you
gonna
can
get.
bloody get.
Probably more sterile than a hospital, and
Yeah.
wear your mask.
Yeah.
I think on the way to France, I think you and myself had two different sort of scenarios with flights. You said your flight was pretty like booked
Yeah,
up.
we were busy.
Mine, I had, I think there were about, I could easily say about 7 people in the whole premium economy class.
Mhm.
So it was quiet. I had the whole row to myself. Someone
Wow.
had her whole row to herself. So, worrying to see on the way there.
Yeah. Okay. We were.
Yeah.
Ours was quite busy, I must say. It was
Yeah.
actually chockers.
You flew out on a Friday, though,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then you went on a Monday.
Monday,
So
so I suppose it
sometimes
is.
it's a kind of like stock standard thing. Depends on the day of the week.
Fair
Yeah.
enough, yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
it was, but flight pretty normal. And then arriving in France, it was very normal. You know what they do well there? There's no extra table to go hand in your PCR test or your entry form or that. They just do it all at the immigration counter.
Mm.
Now you hand in your passport, you hand in your PCR test as well.
Makes sense.
You don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure that out.
No.
And it makes a difference. It's one less time you got to put your bag down, take your
Yeah.
stuff out. Obviously, in the airport, everyone's wearing their masks. It's all pretty stock standard. But what is nice is your hand isn't being sanitized every single time.
Oh.
You go think of, oh, that looks nice. Let me go have a look in the shop, and then you
Yeah.
have to clean your hands and all that rubbish.
Yeah.
Taking temperature is, I mean,
That's about it.
how many times have you have your temperature taken?
Ah, jeez, no, it's
It's
ridiculous.
not a thing there. So they're not holding up, a thermometer that's got no batteries and saying, cool,
And it's
you
like
can go.
covered in sellotape. You can see
Yeah.
it's clearly not
Yeah,
working
it's been
properly.
dropped a few times.
Yeah.
It's been dropped. How many times have they done that to you here? And they go 32.3. Yeah, that's
Sounds
my
about right.
temperature.
I should be dead.
Yeah. So one just hopes that these little things. I suppose that they're not a big deal, but we've been dealing with them for a long time, and it's time that those things get tossed out the window. I would say,
Exactly.
because there you walk out on the street, take your mask off, you walk around, and let me tell you, walking on the street without a mask on is not overrated by
I can
any stretch
imagine.
of the imagination.
Yeah.
It's just you can see people's face. If someone is trying to say something to you, you can, particularly in French, you can try and understand
Yeah.
it. With a mask on, it's just nearly impossible.
So it's like liberating almost, just to be able to. It's like when you found sort of freedom
Exactly.
again.
Yeah.
And isn't it such a basic thing to sort of take as
Yeah.
freedom? It's something we used to
Yeah.
have no less than 2-3 years ago, and now it's almost like a treat.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Those
pretty
mask
amazing.
things driving me nuts, because the whole thing, like you say, you rely on facial expressions to judge someone's
Yeah.
Yeah.
reactions towards you. I'm never sure if people are smiling at me
Yeah,
or like
cursing
getting ready
me.
to blixen me or whatever.
100%.
Yeah. So that was nice. I mean, you
Mm.
walk around, and when you go into a restaurant and that, everyone's welcoming. You sit down, and I'm not anti-sanitizing your hands. Don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
but like we all carry our own sanitizer, and my hands feel like they need sanitizing. We sanitize them.
Yeah.
It don't have to be sanitized at every single shop
Yeah.
Who knows what they're putting on you? And you get home at the end of the day, it feels like you've been filling your aircraft with avgas with your
Yes.
hands,
Yeah.
you know. So
Not to
yeah.
mention, some of them are like that thick,
Yeah.
gooey gel.
Slime.
Oh
Yeah,
man.
Yeah.
I hate that.
No, it's slime.
And then there's one place, there's a shop there near me. I'm pretty sure they're just using vinegar because
Mm.
your hands smell like
Yeah.
slap chips afterwards.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
terrible. Anyway,
So, yeah, very relaxed vibe in France. Totally different feeling walking around Paris. It was really, really nice. Let's talk about COVID test in France versus COVID test in South Africa. I felt violated in South Africa. Okay, I've been for a couple of them,
that's
but
weird.
No,
Man,
touched your brain.
I promise
Yeah,
you that
yeah.
thing went so
Yeah.
far.
Yeah.
It touched your brain. I mean,
Yeah.
really, I felt bruised
Literally.
behind my, it wasn't nice at all. And I said to the young, nice lady, please be gentle. And she sort of said, yes, of course, but we have to go deep because that's where the virus is. Okay. So I knew it was coming. And then, twisting this bloody thing in my nose for 5 minutes.
I
Was-
can almost feel it.
Yeah.
So I was dreading it the whole time there in France.
Barely went even like nothing like
Yeah,
it.
it was like
Went through the
I
middle
don't
of the
even know
nose.
if it went
Yeah.
into the nose or just on the out. Like,
Almost
I
want to
mean-
ask if she can redo it because I don't think she did it right.
Yeah.
Like I don't think you got there.
yeah, it's like I don't think they want
Yeah.
positive results. Of course they don't. But I mean, what are we doing here?
Yeah. It's about time we just come right, man.
But there were definitely two very different experiences getting the test. And then one night, Justin and I go out in Paris, and we jump on the metro, and there were thousands of people in there. Thousands. I mean,
Yeah, right next to you.
Right
Literally
next to
pushed to get canned in there.
you can like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've actually said to just put your mask on because no one's got their mask on.
Mm.
You know, we had to get home, and you've got to show a negative test, so put your mask on, type of thing. And but there's the whole sort of being anxious about it, and people being scared is gone.
Gone.
It's gone.
Well, I mean, I saw images of what's going on in India at the moment as well. I mean, just to digress a little bit, but India, they've dropped their cap on their domestic flights. So
Yep.
the airlines are allowed to fly full schedule again.
Mm.
I don't know if you saw those images of the people in Mumbai a couple of days ago, but that terminal is
Packed.
Packed.
not 1 square centimeter open.
Yeah.
And, from the images, very few people wearing masks as well. So it's like, and I mean, India was one of the places that had the,
Yeah, the highest numbers in the
Yeah.
United States.
so really, what are we doing?
What are
here?
we doing?
It
Yeah.
does feel like South Africa is lagging a bit behind in terms of that. But I mean, I think it deals directly with the vaccine and the amount of people who have been ultimately vaccinated, and it has
absolutely.
a definite effect to it.
Yeah.
But we arrived back in South Africa, Ryan. So I had a nice flight coming back. You get off the air bridge, and there's a grumpy bloody woman there. This is South Africa, everyone. We wear masks, we sanitize, and you need to fill this form in. Like very parrot, straight out the Air Force, I
Gotta
think.
throw the authority
The
around that.
authority was being tossed, and I thought, what a first impression
What a welcome.
that
Yeah.
these French that are hopefully going to come here to spend some money, or that they're giving them. Just so stupid. So that was the welcome back, but everything else was fine. All in all, go travel, because man, it is so good for the soul. To get away again, to see that life still exists, life carries on, and just to go and expand your horizons a bit was it's well worth it. It's not that difficult to do. There's a couple of extra steps, but it should not deter you from going to travel. And I think now it's probably even easier than it was when we went the other day, because we're off that UK red list.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Mauritius is open to us now. Thailand is opening up. So,
it's
the
happening.
destinations that people want to travel to are becoming open again. So it's good news all around.
Really good. All in
Yeah.
all, it was a fantastic trip, successful one, and like I said, was really nice to go see our friends and colleagues there at the Samero France facility,
That's
which
cool,
is
man.
looking awesome, by the way. It's full. All the bays are full, and they're operating. It's busy. I was lucky. I had the opportunity to talk to quite a few pilots coming into the center,
Yeah.
And it was nice to hear, what's the feeling. And everyone there locally is like, no, it's back. We all
cool.
got jobs. Everyone has been called back. They're flying. 90, 100 hours a month. When things are back to normal, when the pilots are moaning about their rosters and management, then it's like
Then it's back to 2019.
then it's sorted. And that wasn't just Europeans. That was there was a crew there I saw from Afghanistan, and it's like very, very cool.
Cool, man.
Travel. It's really worth it.
That's okay. Listen, we've done things a little bit backwards today. We've got our guest in here.
Well, is he a guest?
Well,
we work
not
with
a
this.
guest. Yeah, but I mean,
I see you guys
he's
all
a guest
day.
on the
Yeah.
podcast.
Yeah,
so,
first time.
let's give Justin a chance to, first of all, introduce himself properly. Not like the stray cat that you did the first time you walked into Samara.
Yeah.
And tell us what you're doing. What's the aim,
Obviously,
bro?
I'm here at Samara. I'm in the quality department, the compliance managing department. How I actually first came into Samara was I have a good friend that's a pilot in ERJ for Transair, Tarquin Gilby. You guys both know him pretty well.
Yep.
He got me a flight here in the beach, just got me a bit of a spin here and everything. Once I had done that, I'd met Keith and everything, made a point to go shake his hand and say thank you very much, because it was a game changer for me, to see what that higher caliber of aviation was about. Be in the presence of other captains and other pilots. And I went to go say thank you very much, and he said to me, anytime, maybe in a week or two, give me a call or something. I don't know if he was being too serious about it, but I didn't come in too hot. I gave him a bit of time. I called him back, and I came back here, I think it was about 2 weeks later. And then I made it a sort of a priority to come back like again and again and again, and until someone eventually said to me, please stop coming back here, I did the odd tasks like scanning and printing and filing and all those sort of those basic jobs, but I knew where I wanted to be, and I wanted to be surrounded by pilots, and I wanted to be surrounded by captains of the industry, so to speak. And Samara has been very kind to me, and here I am in the quality and compliance department, what I mean? So
Just has done an awesome job.
yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
And you're obviously busy with your comm at the moment, and the flight
Correct.
schools are busy, eh?
They are busy, from what I've seen. Obviously, I'm not at the flight schools as much as I was during PPL stages, but from every time I pop my head through, it looks like there's activity. Looks like things are happening. Yeah.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, Justin, you've been a huge asset to us. Definitely not the last time you're going to be on the podcast as a fill-in guest when we need it.
Yeah.
But
No, thank you guys, I appreciate it. Listen, from my aspect as well, the first time I came here was about a good couple of months ago, and I saw you guys coming into this podcast room. And you never know what's happening behind the door there. And I used to watch the podcast, see Bryan playing on his equipment here and everything, and I never used to know what it's about, but I knew that I wanted to be involved in it.
Yeah.
So the fact that I'm here a couple of months down the line is a big honor. So thanks, guys.
That's cool.
No,
man.
that's awesome. No, you've been fantastic, bro. Very, very cool. Do you want to ask him anything?
Be kind.
Let's ask him something.
Yeah. Should we ask him a Met question?
Yeah. So whenever Justin has an exam that doesn't go according to plan, he doesn't hear the end of it for a few weeks.
You guys definitely.
You've inherited a few nicknames over the past few months, because every time he goes and writes an exam, if it doesn't go well, then there's a new nickname that gets tabbed on you.
Yeah.
So you've had what? Windsock, flight plan.
Windsock is the flight plan
On Av.
Yeah. But no,
Yeah.
you're doing quite well. You what human performance
Yeah.
next?
One
and then you're
left.
done, eh?
I've got one left. I've got human performance. My strategy was, I'm sure, similar to anyone else's strategy. Get all the tough ones out the way first, and then knock out those easy ones last.
Yeah.
After that, it's general radio, and then it's instrument rating.
Yeah.
So
Cool, man.
I'm only told about instrument rating, and I'm quite nervous for that, but I'm sure it'll go well.
Nah, that'll be one of the easier ones.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. No, awesome. Can I give you my Bryan advisory?
I'm ready.
Apple AirTags.
Yeah. Worth it, eh?
Apple AirTags.
He was very impressed with that, by the way.
Yeah,
he was very impressed with
Yeah,
that.
so what they are, the Apple, so it's got the Apple logo on, so immediately there's a price attached to it. I think it's about $2,000 for 4 of them. Small little, they look like a coin. And for traveling, you can hide them in your bag. So you put one in my backpack, one in my luggage. And it was so cool on the flight going there to know that my luggage was sitting on the aircraft with me. Because obviously you can, they basically, they tie into the Apple network, so they ping off other iPhones. So you got a constant location all the time, and really, really nice. Basic, you can, instead of sitting or standing at the conveyor belt like a moron waiting for your bag to come, you can actually tell when it's.
Did you actually try it at the conveyor belt?
Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah, because you can actually now, you put it on.
Yeah.
And you can wait, and as it starts moving, I could see it coming around.
It's crazy.
So I
awesome
thought,
is that?
okay, well now I can stand up and go to the conveyor belt and literally time it to perfection, because it tells you 5 meters away, 4 meters away, 3 meters away, 2 meters away. There it is. Take it off.
I love the fact that it takes away the stress of you not knowing if your bag is going to meet you on the other end.
Of
I
course.
remember that was always like a pucker moment for me, sitting there, and now you
It's like
waiting,
such a relief.
waiting, and then my bag would always come off last.
Yeah.
I hated that.
Speaking of that, actually, I'll tell you what actually happened with myself and Simone. We weren't running late, but obviously we were pressed for time. You always are, trying to get your bags on that conveyor belt loaded and everything checked in. And, it's a typically unique situation to South Africa where you don't even see in France is that wrapping, the plastic wrapping. You don't even see that in France. South Africa, that's a thing.
Yeah.
I didn't do my bag and I didn't have a lock on it. And I gave that in.
Sure.
Living on the edge.
High risk,
Living on the
amateur hour. And once that bag got taken away from that conveyor belt, it dawned on me. And the entire trip, I thought I went and bought a new suit, a new shoes, new jackets. K1 jackets aren't cheap,
Yeah.
And I thought truly when I get there, when I get to France, there's going to be nothing left.
Just a couple of IOUs.
Yeah. To my surprise, nothing was touched. It was 100%.
That's
so,
cool.
I mean,
Yeah, that was lucky.
yeah.
Yeah.
I've got one of those, it's like let's call it a wrap, but it's like a protective case. It works really well with a lock. I've been using that for ages. That works really well. But that AirTag to me is a no-brainer. The other element where, from a luggage perspective, oftentimes you have to check out of the hotel, your flight's in the evening, so you ask them, do you mind can I leave my luggage here? It's nice to know that your luggage is still at the hotel.
Yes.
When you're out at having lunch, you can just have a quick look. There it is. And don't try and steal my car, because there's one in my car as well.
I need one of those.
There's one in Capri's nappy. So they're quite useful. But for people that travel a lot, absolute no-brainer.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, I think I'm gonna get me some of them things, especially when I start traveling.
Which it's gonna happen soon.
Yeah.
We got someone on next week.
Yes, Leon Verleun from Flying Eyes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Similar situation to you, actually. He's using Flying Eyes. He's got these sunglasses that are made for aviators and bikers, actually. And he's got the franchise here. He's doing a really good job with it, and trying to help him a bit with promotion and that. And let's see if we can sell a few sunglasses for him, support him, because he's using this to support himself through his comm.
Exactly.
So he's not standing there for a handout to say, please give me a bursary.
Yeah.
He's doing what Justin's doing, and he's actually grafting to get some money and then financing his way through his comm. So hell of a nice guy. He's going to be on next week. We'll have a good chat to him about that. If you want to buy any of those products right now, details in our show notes. So just check it out there. It's got his website there. It's got his shop. And if you click on the link in our show notes, it'll actually show that you're buying them through Bryan Air,
and you get a discount.
Yeah, I think so. Hey?
I think it is.
I hope so now.
I hope there's a discount.
I'm not sure. We'll have to check.
Yeah.
We'll have him
Sorry,
on next
Leon.
I think it's safe to say there's a discount now.
Yeah, there's a discount now.
Yeah.
If there wasn't a discount, Leon, there is one now.
You better up your prices so that it looks like it's a discount.
Yeah. So looking forward to that, and one or two other guests. I want to do something a little bit more from a training perspective as well, aviation training. There's a few people that I'd like to get on, some guys that are sort of in mentorship roles in aviation, and we can talk to them a little bit, and maybe bring some aero a little bit more into the podcast, which I'm looking forward to.
I think there's Kortso Marumo, who's coming up later in November as well. He's our friend from Lesotho who's coming to finish up his flying training in Pretoria as well.
Yep.
He's dying to come and chat to us. And
Lesotho's pride.
Yeah. Shame. I mean, his channel, he's pushed out 30-odd videos now. He's busting at the seams to get to 100 subscribers. I think he's got 96 now.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
So
Brilliant.
We'll leave his details again in the show notes. What a nice guy, because he actually put out a video of him, with us in it, and it was quite a nice promo thing for us. So thanks for that. Yeah, so a few more guests on the show. Of course, Ryan and I will still do some basic shows with just us, particularly when there's a hell of a lot of news. It's nice to do it that way, but also cool having the guests in.
Yeah. Awesome.
Go travel. Things are improving.
Yeah.
Buy a ticket, go take your family, and go learn how to fly. It's a good time to learn how to fly if you are thinking about it. Like Justin's doing, the flight schools are pumping at the moment in South Africa. They're really, really busy, and there are opportunities that are gonna come their way. Look at us. We're not in a flight deck at the moment. I don't think we're going back to one. It opens up opportunities for guys that are looking to get into the airlines. We're seeing it all around the world.
Yeah.
That's why this happened at Southwest over the weekend. It's quite simple. There's a shortage of pilots. A lot of them that were flying there are not flying there anymore because they're doing something else. There's big opportunities in aviation right now.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
No better time to get back in. It was awesome to be back, eh?
Yeah, no, I've been looking forward to this all week, guys. Yeah.
Guys, had to dust off the cobwebs, or was that?
I think we slid straight back into it. Eh?
I hope so. We'll see. We'll see by the views. Yeah.
No,
cool.
The views tell you a lot. Yeah.
Well, thanks a lot for having me. I appreciate it. Like I said,
Not the last time for you.
Yeah, hopefully not. I had a good time. So it's been an honor.
No,
thanks,
definitely not.
Cheers.
Anything else? If you like the show, if you want to support us, please subscribe. Shoot us just subscribe on YouTube. That'll help us a lot. And we're really pushing the podcast side of things. We want those good ratings on the podcast. So reviews help give us the exposure. It gets us on the landing pages, so to speak. So a review on Apple iTunes goes a long way.
Can I do a bit of bragging quickly?
Do it.
It'll also help us maintain the #1 Apple podcast spot in South Africa.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah,
it's nice to see
I
those.
love that.
Nice to see those things.
Yeah. So
thanks for punting that out there as well.
I just couldn't keep that one quiet.
No, awesome. Thanks to everyone. Thanks for our listeners. Thanks for giving us the 2 weeks off that we needed to go and do our traveling, but we're back, and this will be a push now right through, I think, Ryan, and then we'll obviously take our normal break over the Christmas holiday season. So we got quite a few podcasts that lie ahead. We're going to push, and got some exciting things ahead. Have a lovely weekend, everyone, and see you next week.
Cheers for now.
Goodbye for now.